this would be one of those kind of things. So the music is coming in underneath the and then we get this system-agnostic zine to go with it. Okay. Dank Dungeons presents Most days, I think we chase style of ornamentation, cultural mosaic of 1,000 roots. Fruits out of a small vial as he raised a hand to join the bidding. Caught off balance from the push, he stumbled into a hooded woman with ashen skin. The stranger bore a third eye tattoo in brilliant blue upon her forehead. The shepherd attempted a stammered apology, but before it could leave her throat. So I'm just trying to get sometimes with my phone, I know this totally breaks up the story, and I apologize for that, but my phone's, I don't know, this Bandcamp app. It's on Bandcamp, I probably should mention that. And it just seems to do just weird things with my phones. Hopefully the music will be back momentarily, as it's getting a spinning icon. Well done, Apple. Just when I need you most. Let's see if closing it and bring it back will make it come back. There we go. Caught off balance by the push, stumbled into ashen skin. The stranger bore a third eye tattoo in brilliant blue upon her forehead. The shepherd attempted to stammer an apology, but before it could leave her throat, the hooded woman was already melting into the ground. It wasn't until later the shepherd discovered the mother's empty from a surgically sliced heart. What surprised her most is that she didn't see her. I'm curious if this is going to be a bit of I guess, fiction or just an explanation, maybe right up on the place or just experience to Sarapesh is a city under a powerful enchantment, sometimes forgotten past the months of ages, so every stone is shifted to the next existence. So I guess that's every few days, the entire metropolis shimmers with new reality play on the outskirts of the city. Not long after however, it's just long enough for those merchants who own the majority of the cleaners, the cooks, the couriers, and more. There are those who run the shops and hawk the wares. Principal interest is the power structure of the city over the West. These bills fund anything and judgment seats everything both of the city built self-contained houses and will open concentrating on the miracles that happen on specific places that won't be possible unless you follow someone who can already get there. This kind of radiating magic made into the city makes it blinding to those who can sense it. Luckily, wards keep some of the dangerous magic and feeding creatures at bay. Many have yet to discover all the strange things the city is capable of. Wizards like to study it and frequently use spell components, but rarely study. Some have even devised ways to summon it to their realms through esoteric rituals. Even still, no one is quite sure why the city does what it does. There are plenty of rumors and legends whispered on it. Okay. What's this right here? Alright, shall we just go back? So this seems pretty interesting. I'm gonna see if there's another page here or not, or is it one page per tale? Okay, so we do have some more. I really like this idea. Obviously, it's very light on the that's fine because it's decent. It kind of has that essential vibe to it so far as instead of all road essential substance, this kind of jumps around. There's a lot of things there. Definitely adds some loud. I turned down the music. Seems a bit strange. Well, I mean, it's supposed to be kind of, I don't know, do you mean strange in that it's loud or strange in the music, Tim? But I turned it down, so let me know. And obviously let me know if I'm not coming through loud enough. So let's see, what is the talk of the market? Creatures that feed on magic items have been crawling up from the depths of the undercity. Bazaars merchandise is being heavily impacted. Something must be done. Okay, there's a nice hook. A seemingly non-magical mask keeps reappearing in the store from which it was sold on the morning of the following day. Shopkeepers are lost to explain it, and customers are not happy. Of course, you buy a mask and it disappears. That's not a good one. We were just watching my wife and I, What We Do in the Shadows, and there was a hat in one of the episodes that kind of had a similar thing. We just keep going back. But I think at the end he got rid of the hat. Now I'm not sure if I'm misremembering the episode, but I don't know why that reminded me of it, but that did. Let's see. One of the thieves' guilds was infiltrated, and robbed of its most valuable trade secrets. The spy has put themselves under an enchantment that prevents divulging of information until their price is paid. Oh, that's interesting. Alright, so we have some, I'm not going to read all of those, but that's a good smattering. Oops. Now the music's a little low. I'm having trouble hearing it myself, but rather I can't hear it and you guys can hear it at a good volume. Vice versa. So that's some of the talk of the market. There's 10 of them. I read 4 of them. So those seem to be good, what do you call it, adventure hooks. Right? Your players end up in that market. They can hear some things, act upon. Now we get a table, or it looks like a couple of tables that show us what are some wares. So we have one that gives us one table of 10, gives 2 tables of 10. One of them's telling us what kind of item it is, a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, a shield, etc. And then we have what the effects might be. It just generates dazzling illusions. It stops time, but while doing so, your body ages at an accelerated rate. That's an interesting one. Let's see, reveals the target's true intentions. That's pretty powerful. Reveals the history of any object touched. Those are good. So those are just a couple of those. All excelente. So I like that. I'm curious if there's more here before we're going to move on. Nope. All right. So that was track 3. We can go to track 4. Night of the Skulls. This says, Gandahar was a god's forsaken fool. Sure, I'd never known him, not on any personal level. He was a Panjandrum after all, and I but a lowly shopkeep. Still, I understood him, same way I understood all of them. When the shipment of fire nectar came through, all the heavy hitters fought for it like hungry dogs, but Gandahar was the only one smart enough to hire a guild. All the political maneuvering in the world can't stop an assassin's dagger or a skilled lockpick. Enough upstart merchants found missing certain necessary body parts, and enough storehouses laid barren in the odd hours of the morning. It was a clear message. You ain't supplying fire nectar if you ain't Gandahar. Everyone backed off, of course. The 13 Skulls' reputation is unmatched. I heard they're run by a bunch of necromancers. That's why their lads are so silent that they don't need to breathe. Esme across the way says they're all just mutes, but I don't buy that. Anyhow, they're good, and everyone knows they ain't cheap. Gandahar cornered his market share, and for a fortnight the whole city started to relax. Then came the rumors. Some necrotic curse on unopened merchandise, empty coffers with only a lacquered skull whispering obscenities present. You see, I heard from a cousin's friends, sisters who worked on Gandahar's books, that he was skimming from his guild dues. Don't need a diviner to tell you that's the truth. The silly thing is, even if he was, not like the Skulls weren't making bank, they could have probably scared him into compliance. Instead, they go scorched earth, destroy the whole damn market for their zero tolerance clause. Now Gandahar gets a knife in the back and I can't stock the hottest item on my shelves. Who loses then? Me. How am I supposed to maintain a business like this? Now I gotta start marking up every bottle of fire nectar I got. Sure, it ain't actually worth much, but that's the market for me. Panjandrum and the drugs. Two sides of the same coin. The face that presents itself legitimate, and the face that hides itself in the shadows. They're all crooks, and they agree most of the time. They just go about their robbery in different ways. Like I said, I understand. Same, I know customers will always buy the cheap stuff and put it on a higher shelf. Panjandrum always try to muscle out their partners. The guilds are just sticklers for their code. So there we go. So we're getting a little more information. Now, I hadn't really considered it before, but I'm assuming that all this stuff will be related to this, I guess, the concept of this album, right, which is this marketplace. I didn't really think about it, but it makes total sense, obviously. That's kind of the skulls. And we're just finishing that in skulls, so there we go. Ba-dam, bam, bam. We can move on. Track 5, The Thieves' Guilds of Sarapesh. I like this. I'm always fond of tables. If anybody's watched any of my stuff, seen any of my stuff, you will know I am fond of tables. So now track 5, The Thieves' Guilds of Sarapesh, presents us with some tables where we can create thieves' guilds, which is handy whether we're in Sarapesh or not. One cannot walk the length of a city block without crossing the threshold of a thieves' guild house. They are ever present, from a cut purse in a crowded afternoon market to a life drinker in a midnight shadowed hotel room. Thieves swarm like flies to the sweet-smelling wealth of Sarapesh. They desire to protect themselves from the Panjandrum's securitate, okay, and avoid chaos. The thieves banded together into guilds. Hundreds exist at any given time, constantly overthrowing each other and forming anew. Half of all business goes through them. They're just as easy to provide a job as to run the family. Alright, so we got tons of guilds here, tons of guilds. And so if we were in Sarapesh and we needed to or wanted to create a guild, here we're given 4 tables. First, 2 tables of 10 items that we can generate a title for them. We've got things like the Vainglorious, the Midnight, the Three-Eyed, the Twice Cursed, the Hateful. So there are 8 on the other side. Then we have Skulls. Mistovaries? I'm not sure what that is, but it could just be a name. Ne'er-do-wells, Filchers, Rudderkin, I like that one. Prowlers, Vagabonds, Life Drinkers. Life Drinkers is a cool name. Definitely is very evocative. Are they supposed to be vampires? Is there some other way of life drinking? Seems pretty cool. So you could get the Midnight Shades, the Twice Cursed Ne'er-do-wells, the Hateful Filchers, the 7 Life Drinkers, Drunken Prowlers. All cool. All good. Now we get who are their members. Looks like the first table is going to give us type. So we have Undying, which I don't know if they mean undead or they just mean undying, immortal. Insectoid, psychic, well-connected, ethereal, pious. Okay, so they're more just kind of adjectives, I guess, to do. Will, lycanthropic, nice, mute, masked, blind. And we get necromancers, illusionists, alchemists, rat catchers, duelists, butchers, acrobats, lamplighters, buskers, and undertakers. So it's more, I mean, they do give us a sense of their powers. I presume if they're lycanthropic, that they will have type powers, or if they're psychic, and who are their members, that we are to presume they have some sort of psychic powers of some kind. So we could have, let's see, what are the inside here? So we could have the 7, the drunken life drinkers. So we'd have the drunken life drinkers, who could be blind necromancers, mute undertakers, lycanthropic acrobats. I like lycanthropic acrobats. I don't know what they would do, but the idea and the vision I have in my mind of kind of where something doing flipping stuff all over the place for coins during the day and then burgling homes at night seems appealing. What's the job? What's the price? So we have, jobs, assassination, petty theft, blackmail, memory theft, bank robbery. Oh, they haven't. Planning ideas. They've got Inception. So there we go. You could have Inception want blood, coins, secrets, years of your life. It's life drinking, exotic animals, souls. All good. And then what's their calling card? Ooh, I'm always down for calling cards. Let's see. A single feather from an extremely rare bird. A skull that chatters obscene insults, as seen in the story from prior track. Let's see what music are we on. Do I need to just restart game skills for a moment? The music, rather. A magical melody that plays softly on a loop. Hand them an MP3 player and they're yours. Alright, that's cool. I can dig it. On to track 6, The Merchant's Daughter. Sync up the music. Let's see. How do you plead? Pangendrum's words cut through the din of her court. Over the plucking of the sitar, the murmuring of the pawnbrokers, and the idle chatter of the entourage. Guilty of debt without malice, your grace, whimpered the prostrate merchant before her. He shook as he fidgeted with his cowpats for a minor. I would have said that differently if I'd known he was whimpering, but that's what I get for not reading ahead. Without malice? There's no debt without malice. Still, I am magnanimous. I condemn you to the oubliette for a time equal to wages needed to absolve your damages. With that, she nodded to her security forces, who grabbed up the merchant and began to drag him from the hall. Taking away the man's freedom had been done so nonchalantly, none of the court had even noticed, but one person did. "Hold, villain!" shouted a shadowed figure from the upper balcony. The music stopped. The people of the court looked up from their idle business. For the first time that day, the coin was dropped onto the floor in shocked silence. Pangendrum uncoiled herself and reviewed the throne. They took up the end of a hanging silk drapery and launched themselves toward the marble floor. Leather boots bowled into the guards and their captive. First to their feet was the assailant, a young woman dressed for peril. She brandished a Toledo blade that smoked with baleful cold. The second was the poor merchant, who scrambled towards the exit. Heavily armed porcine praetorians sprang forth from behind veiled pillars. Maybe that's supposed to be sprang? I don't know, maybe sprain. I might just not know sprain. Maybe I learned a new word today. They sought to get between the intruder and their master, but the young woman was far too quick. She ran her sword through the guts of a single guard who was able to barely intercept her. Then she was at the throne, and the tip of her foil was pressed to the Pangendrum's collar. "Call off your dogs, or it is the end of you," proclaimed the daring swordswoman. The aristocrat wore a sour expression that promised future firings of staff, but bade her men to step down. "Peace. What is it you want of me? Riches? You are not a hired blade, or this would already be over," sneered the Pangendrum, her words drowning in disdain. "I am Luisa de Leon. My mother is Consuelo de Leon. You took from her my family's livelihood when you monopolized the sale of silk. You drove us to destitution." "Ah, so it is revenge then? Make it quick. But know this killing of Pangendrum will put a bounty on your head so large that no guild can resist. You and your family will be dead before the next dawn." "That is true, and why I compel you to a harsher punishment. Sign this." And the swordswoman drew a contract from her pocket with the same gusto as she had drawn her sword. "And you will live. It is merely a writ of transfer. All of your holdings in silk to my family's name." "But it is the chief source of my profits. I will be broke," stammered the noble, blood draining from her face. "Precisely. But do not despair. I am sure you can rebuild your fortunes," smiled the swashbuckler as she turned the blade ever so slightly, causing the oligarch to wince. So with great humiliation and defeat, Pangendrum's son. Alright, so that's a nice story here, telling us a little bit more, giving some more ideas of the culture. Oops. I like the idea of having these I know what we call it, the fluff, right? In as stories. So I think as stories they have they're more interesting in many ways to read than just a history where you could just spit out X, Y, and Z. But I also think they give us kind of ideas. They give us hints of things that are happening without necessarily having to spell them out. And you can almost see in there some kind of adventure that could unfold, or you can think about, well, what if my players were in that room? What if their characters were there? What would they do? Maybe that becomes a moment you can add to your game more than just a reading of statistics or something else. Okay. Tantrum of Sarapesh. Oh, great. So now we get to create a pangendrum. More tables. As I've already said, I love me some tables. In a city obsessed with trade, the pangendrum are masters of capitalist consolidation. When a merchant is able to corner a particularly lucrative market and expand their business holdings to become one of the most wealthy individuals in the city, they also become one of the governors of the city. Typically, a few dozen pangendrum hold sway at any given time, using their position to oversee policy. While most laws are mutable, everyone in power agrees that the system which puts them in power and generates their wealth must stay. This oligarchy changes its players whenever the market leads a pangendrum's business to ruin, or more commonly, when they are undone by the other's constant scheming. So let's create a pangendrum. For what traits are they known? There's two columns here. Am I just supposed to pick one or the other? Am I supposed to put them together? So let's see. The first one is, okay. So I guess they go and you're going to pick one from column A, column B, which I guess I should have guessed since that's how the other ones worked. A widow beneficiary with a short temper. A gambler who is easily distracted by trinkets. A former actor who is incredibly vain. A gifted mathematician who is in deep debt. That sort of thing. So, cool. So we get sort of an idea of their strengths, or maybe something great about them. And then there's all these other ones seem like they're kind of weakness. So you have an idea of maybe what they did for a living or what they are strong in, and then some kind of weakness or weakness of character, weakness of circumstance, something else. So that's cool. But what official title are they announced? Ampuan, Vavasseur, Marquise, Marquesa, Skirtable, Amido, Amir, Amira, Thakuran, Morza, Sidi, of the many eyes, okay. Sidi, Saint of Coins, Morza, the expert regulator, Weigher of debt. All right, those are all cool. So cool, we get something about them, we get their title, and then we get now the last one, the second to last one, their entourage. They've got either, it could be reptilian, skeletal, heavyset, elderly, youthful, cephalopod, and so on. Political consultants, pawnbrokers, virtuosos, spice mongers, artists, diviners, gourmands, moneylenders. So we get some idea of who might be in their entourage. And I suppose that's something that we could roll multiple times to get more of if we didn't want it to be so homogenous. Over which sector do they hold dominion? Fabrics, banking, fine art pieces, importing of food, trade, negotiations, public services, weapons and armor. So great. So a pretty good range of things. So I really like that. So, it's obviously we can see there's kind of I won't say a yin and yang, but there's a balance of the material here, right? So we're getting kind of a piece of the fluff and then some kind of mechanics to back it up, right? So we're giving, the initial story, discover the city, then something about the city, and then it seems like it's going that way, which I like. So everything that we're kind of getting in, learning a little bit about and getting a feel for and getting in that vibe to listen to music, then we get something to give us a way to build on it for our own uses in a game. Ooh, across the rooftops, guild house and pangendrum villa generator. All right, so that's good stuff. The guilds and the panges are at it. So the phrase is central to Sarapeshi life. It is the answer to many questions. Why is food so short at the market today? Why can't I reach a rickshaw? Why is the laundry so late? And why is my local cafe shut down? Well, the guilds and panges are at it again. Surprisingly, this can be a comforting phrase to Sarapesh citizens in a city steeped with uncertainty and physical transience. Having a constant, even a disruptive constant, is soothing. The guilds and Panjandrum are at war. They always have been, they always will be. This constant war is fought from bases of power. Alright. Music still too loud. I'm lowering that. I'm going to raise up. Let me know if that's good. Yep. Alright, fixing the levels. I'll just go. Alright. Nope. Thank you, Ovaltine Patrol. I will drink more Ovaltine, I promise. Let's see. Where was I? Yes, I would better. I wouldn't want to disappoint you, Ovaltine Patrol, or God, who was it in the Christmas Story, which is going to be on rotation soon? Was that little orphan Annie? Okay. The guilds and Panjandrum are at war, always have been, always will be. This constant war is fought from bases of power, the guilds' hideouts, and the Panjandrum's villas. The guilds operate within the cracks and forgotten spaces of the city as covertly as possible. Their headquarters are nondescript, only described in playfully cryptic phrases by those that should know better, not to be talking. Panjandrum's villa is an unabashed flagrancy of wealth and power, whether it is a stately townhouse in the middle of the city or an estate on the outskirts. The villa is a message to the citizens of Sarapesh. I own you. So there you go. Now we will get to build some guild houses and Panjandrum villas, I presume. Let's see. Okay, how to use these tables. First, decide whether you like to create a guild house or a Panjandrum villa. Second, pick or randomly determine the stature of this place. This is going to set how large, complex, and wealthy the location is. Third, we will roll for the ranked areas provided by your stature. Ranked areas are listed from A to E. Your stature will tell you which ranks to roll and how many times to roll on them. They amount to different rooms or aspects of the place. Rank A being most central with other possible locations radiating outward. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit confusing. Hopefully the tables will make it clear. Fourth, roll for a random weakness if permitted by stature. These weaknesses represent ways the guild hideout or villa can be infiltrated or otherwise taken down. I definitely like that. Always got to have some way of some vulnerability, right? It can't be Fort Knox. Check what wealth level your stature lists. Wealth gives you an idea of how much money the location has on hand and if it's housing any magical items. Sixth, roll on the entrance table as many times as stature indicate. Entrances are the ways in or through your location. Place them at whatever areas you like, but it is recommended you put on the first entry point characters will likely go through. Seventh, roll on the quarters table as many times as stature indicates. Quarters represent the encounters along paths between your areas and may be placed between any or all. Eighth, rearrange any areas that feel out of place. Drop any NPCs or items you would like. At this point, you can run your hideout or villa as a flowchart or use your results as an inspiration to map out a gridded dungeon. Ovaltine Patrol asks, stature as in height or status? I believe they mean stature as in status. That was step 2. Pick or randomly determine the stature of the place. This is going to set how large, complex, and wealthy the location is. So presumably, the more status a place has, the more of everything it's going to have. And it seems like the way this is going to work is we will be basically creating a mind map, a point crawl. So here we're going to see some thieves' hideout information or tables. So we can see right here the stature. We have first is a dugout. Obviously, that's going to be the poorest of the poor. A flat, then a business, then a den, then a complex. That might be the highest one. And under each of those, that tells us how many different areas to roll. So, for example, if it's a business, it represents a whole standing building that is owned by the thieves. We would roll once for the rank A areas, and then once each for B areas, roll once on each of the C areas. And then you roll once on the weakness table. It's got significant money, some kind of interesting item. Once on the entrances table, twice on the quarters table. So we have rank A areas. It's the heart of the place, a shrine to a patron saint, a giant bird's nest, a lounge, a magical air bubble at the bottom of a deep pool. That's an interesting one. A family style kitchen table. Let's see, section of a sewer catacombs. B areas, we get stuff like back rooms, a rowdy and steamy bathhouse. Let's see, dice cards, betting, and cups. So kind of a casino area. Arena, combat arena, a drug den. Hit the mattresses. That's another area B area where people are sleeping. Cramped bunkhouse, a beer hall, some apartments, camp. And then the front, which is a C area. Low rent theater, lively small restaurant, full service butcher shop. So kind of the stuff that you would imagine. I mean, very much keeping with Thieves Guild. I mean, I think of these are really reaching into sort of mob lore, right? It hit the mattresses in the back room and that kind of thing, the front, which is obviously fitting for a Thieves Guild. Oh, we got more. So we got more areas for Area C, where they got Area D, which represents them. So C is fence. Let's see. A corrupt securitate officer, a house cook, a young sewer urchin. And we have a market area, which is D. Full-scale climbable building face for second story work 101. Scuba or Scooby, SCUBE, silent, covert, underwater, breaking and entering. All right, that's nice. So that's in the school areas. We have market areas, school areas, and rank E, we've got a vault area and then a network situation. Network being carriage drivers, corrupt precinct of securitate officers, intelligent sparrows. Now we have weakness, and this is of the location, right? So the windows in the hideout are old and easily pushed out quietly. There's an old ruin full of monsters below the hideout, unbeknownst to the guild. That's an interesting weakness. The guild master and the lieutenant have been falling out for years. It wouldn't be hard to sow discontent, right? So there's some weaknesses that we get. We get some entrances, a thin inclined drain pipe, a back wall, an alleyway, an underwater passage, and then corridors, floor made up of small tiles, half are illusory and fall into razor-lined pits. So that's interesting. All doors lock and the ceiling slowly descends to the floor unless a door is lockpicked or the crushing mechanism is halted. Okay, so those are kind of, so the corridors, they said, I did say encounters. I thought it would be more in the traps, in the kind of encounter of things vein, but this is more in the vein of traps, which I guess makes sense for Thieves Guild. Maybe when we get to the Panjandrum Villa, it will be more encounters. But it makes sense for Thieves Guild that they would trap it, right? They're thieves. They're supposed to be good at making traps. Okay, so for the villa, we've got the low end bungalows, townhouse, ranch, estate, and then top compound. So there, the center of the villa is the boardroom, which could be a massive aquarium, could be a table and chairs made from the bones of a mythical flying beast, that sort of thing. Then we have the rank B areas, are kind of servants, multicolored oozes, water elemental janitors, loyal half-dog bodyguards, and then we have the muscle cadre of paid-off guild members, small dragon, insectoid creatures, a band of eyeless children. That's creepy. The rank C areas, there I have an atrium, and then the wings. D areas is the horde, HOARD, not HORD. So not a horde of warriors, but a horde of treasure. Priceless paintings, library of rare books, that sort of thing. Also the pleasure dome, a golem masseuse, a masquerade ballroom, a secret dining room. Rank E, we've got the vault. Let's see, a full symphonic band, lawyers, court officials, trial by combat area, defendants, Rank E areas, we have an oubliette. And then weaknesses, one of the Panjandrum's, let's see, butlers is fed up and is willing to talk for a price. All right, so you could potentially get a mole in there, or at least get someone to tell you the layout or whatnot. The villa's farmers are looking to unionize. An experimental plumbing system in the villa has broken down. So we got that sort of thing. And then entrances, we got the gatehouse, the drawbridge, security checkpoints. And then, okay, so the corridors, what do we got? Door that has no hinges or handle. Portraits of the Panjandrum's ancestors line the walls, some of which come alive and try to pull people into the paintings. I've seen that a few times lately, and I've done that once myself, not that long ago, having things pull people into paintings. I wonder if there's something in the air about traps that pull people into paintings, or it's just a very attractive trope. Strange potted plants. Okay, so these are also traps, which is interesting. And now we get to track 9, which I believe is the last track. Get the music synced up. The Dream Reliquary. The premise. A particularly power-hungry Panjandrum has come across a powerful artifact known as the Dream Reliquary. This small jewelry box is said to contain the dreams of a dead god. The Panjandrum, known as Kalyani, has brokered a deal with an extra-dimensional entity. This creature is buying the reliquary for an unfathomable sum tonight at midnight. Every other Panjandrum in the city want the reliquary for their own profit and have put out a general contract on its acquisition. As such, all Thieves Guild are jumping into action. Kalyani, being no one's fool, is expecting this and holds the reliquary at the heart of her estate, attempting to run down the clock until her buyer arrives. Our party has been hired by a guild who were unable to recall their regular operatives fast enough to do the job. So the last track is an adventure, which is putting into play these things that we've just gone through, creating the villa, right, where they mention in the premise here, the heart of the villa, which we know through when we just went through those tables creating them, is that one of those A areas. So here we're going to get some noteworthy persons and groups. And of course, we don't have a lot of numbers attached to these things because it's all agnostic of what system you're using. The Panjandrum Kalyani of the Silver Tongue, a dealer in art and magical items, a former actor with just the right amount of paranoia given the situation, attended by a cabal of highly intelligent octopus magicians. So those sound like things we could have rolled up earlier when we were going through and saw the Panjandrum creation tables. The Three-Eyed Rudderkin, a guild of mute illusionists who specialize in undercover infiltration and trade in secrets. They have made it into the villa looking for the reliquary and are in the employ of Calabraxis. The Demi-Lich Calabraxis, a gem-adorned goat skull holding the malevolent spirit of an archmage. Well, that's a mouthful. Gem-adorned goat skull, holding the malevolent spirit of an archmage. They want the reliquary to learn the magic of a former deity. Not only have they hired the Three-Eyed Rudderkin, but are worn around the neck of the main operative. Interesting. So they've hired these folks and they're there in person, so to speak. The client is an otherworldly entity made of multicolored clouds and subsists on thoughts. I think I saw that guy on Rick and Morty. I think his name was Fart. It views this item as an unlimited supply of nourishment. It will pierce the veil at Kaylani's location and make the exchange with whoever offers it the reliquary at exactly midnight. So the client doesn't care who has it as long as they can get it. I don't think they've said what they're actually giving for it. No, they haven't. I'm curious if they will or not, or if they're just going to leave it to us. So we have a ticking clock. For those not familiar, coming from more of a D&D world, this is kind of the ticking clock's the idea of what is pushing the action. Why can't everybody just take their time and do things in a leisurely rate? Well, something's going to happen, right? It could be an asteroid heading for the Earth. It could be a ritual that some bad guys are trying to complete. In this case, you have until midnight to get this thing done. If you get there at 2 a.m., it's too late, right? So you're on the clock. The players arrive at the doors of Caliani's villa at 8 p.m. and only have until midnight to grab the reliquary before the client arrives. Each section of the dungeon lists how long searching or traversing would take on average to help the game master track time. Always good to track time. Be sure to remind the players how much time their actions can take and what time it currently is often. As time moves forward, other factions and NPCs make actions throughout the dungeon. Here's a timeline to keep track of those events. So this is good advice no matter what, right? But you have this ticking clock, you have until midnight, and then you tell them that they want to, you're in the room and say, okay, now it's 8:30, and you're like, oh, we want to tear this room apart because we think something's here. And you say, okay, it's going to take you a half hour. It's going to be 9 p.m. Then you'll only have, 3 hours left, right? So you want to tell them, give them an idea of how long something's going to take, and obviously keep them track of the time because we have this ticking clocks, and hopefully they will feel the urgency and they will know how much time they have left to adjust what they want to do, what they can do. If they ask questions, well, how long will it take? If we totally want to ransack the room and you say 30 minutes, they can make appropriate decisions. So at 8 p.m., the three-eyed Rudderkin are already inside and sneaking through the horde. Let's see. Atma stays behind to deal with another guild operative. Did we see who Atma is? I don't think so. Okay. The diviner Octavius goes to the wings to meet his contact. The ghost butler Samir comes down to the pleasure dome to serve drinks. If alarms have not already, that was at 9 p.m. At 10 p.m., if alarms have not already been tripped, they are now by the discovery of the Rudderkin operative Atma. Is that Atma? Yeah, Atma. Guards are out in force surrounding the wings. So from the player standpoint, hopefully you're sewn in a good place by 10 because that's when stuff's going to get ratcheted up a notch. At 11, the Rudderkin have all but found and killed. The Rudderkin have all been found and killed. Assuming the guards know of no other infiltrators, the villa calms down somewhat. The majority of the Rudderkin died in the Atrium, and Calabraxis is still there. The client arrives. That's at midnight. The client arrives. The players have 10 minutes before the transaction is complete. Okay, so we have this ticking clock, and then they were nice enough to give us these certain milestones as this ticking clock progresses, where we can ratchet things up, we can give more details, right? So if it's at 10 p.m. and thereafter, wherever the players are, maybe they'll see guards running around. If they don't get caught in the guards, they maybe hear the combat between the guards and the Rudderkin. So it gives some nice stuff. And then, of course, by 12, they basically have a 10-minute warning that if they don't, that everything's going down, and that'll be it. Or I don't even know if you give them a warning or not, but we know in the back of our minds that if it's 12 and they're not in possession and they have 10 minutes to do something before it's all over. Flashbacks. While this adventure is a heist, it does not allow for any planning. To compensate, it is recommended you implement this system for flashbacks. I think is that Blades in the Dark that does that? Or something similar. Somebody tell me, because I've never actually played Blades in the Dark. I've only heard about it. At the start of the game, each player is given a flashback point, which they may spend at any time during the adventure to narrate something they did prior to the events of the game that could give them an edge in the present. Excuse me. Things such as befriending a member of the opposing Thieves Guild, discovering the best way to pacify the guards, or pilfering a partial floor plan from the city archives. These narratives can be given restrictions or difficulty rolls by the game master according to how influential they may be. It is also encouraged that the game master allow for the players to obtain more flashback points as a reward for creative problem solving or excellent roleplay decisions. So I haven't played Blades in the Dark. If it's not Blades in the Dark, it's one of these other games that has a very similar system where instead of going through and doing the kind of planning and elements that you would do in a D&D type game, you would instead roll something, or you get something where you could basically say, oh, I had this all along, or oh yeah, I did this yesterday, right? Something like that. So it makes for a neat system, particularly for a one-shot where you don't want to spend the time doing that. You might, if you're playing a long campaign, you may very well want to go through the casing phases and that stuff, and that can be fun too. But in other instances, you may want to get right down to the action, and this gives you a way to do that and allows your player some creativity by giving them a way of being able to bring up these other things. they get to a door and the door needs something. Oh, I was able to get this thing, or get a clue about it or something. And obviously, as a DM, you can limit it. It doesn't have to be the door's locked. Oh, I magically had the key that I just happen to have. No, you could say no. Well, you don't have that, but you know where it is. Something like that, right? It can be a conversation, but it's a cool way to kind of get into it without doing all the legwork if you don't like or want the legwork. And as they're saying here, you could do something where you could get, using a 5e kind of thing, if you like inspiration or use inspiration, you could say, hey, you can use your inspiration to get a flashback point, which might not be a bad thing to have just in your regular game. It could be fun to have that if you've had a chance for downtime, or maybe you haven't, that you could have those things in your pocket, and then when you get into a situation, you could say, oh, when I was in town, I picked up one of these things. I found the Maltese Falcon in my pack. It was there all along. Okay, the briefing. Sighs the aged thief as he looks upon the party. Look, I don't normally do this, but this job came down the wire so quick I couldn't call my lads back from assignment. He clicks his teeth beneath an imposing mustache. Behind him, a large shark floats lazily by in the aquarium that surrounds the magical bubble of air in which you sit. Some high and mighty panjandrum got their hands on an artifact so valuable every other oligarch in the city wants it. A jewelry box called the Dream Reliquary. Job listing says it needs to be pilfered before midnight. They want it bad. So bad I'm hiring outside my guild. So bad I'm willing to offer you anything from our vaults upon completion. So bad every vagabond in the city will be after it. Rubbing his bald head, the guildmaster produces the standard blood contract. I always like the standard blood contract. I usually the lawyers will get in there and they'll start redlining things. No pun intended, or perhaps pun intended, redlining a blood contract. But I like the standard. Standard's good for me. Can't tell you much about the manse it's in. Necromancers say the head of the house's staff, a specter by the name of Samir, wants out of their eternal bondage. They would probably betray their boss, provided you could find them. Here, this Atrium leaf was grown in the villa. It'll lead you there. Just try not to smoke it until after you reach the building. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but maybe the Atrium leaf makes for a good pipe smoke. The entrance. So we do get a kind of a layout. A set of vaulting golden doors featuring a sliding porthole dominate the street-facing side of this multi-story building. Large barred windows dot the exterior. Starting at the second floor, an alley to the side gives cover from the hustle and bustle of the city. So we get a nice diagram. We get a little box calling out the insectoid warriors, who are the guards. Oh, here's something I like. So here they've given some things you can do and the time it takes to do them. So you can do a quick search, which would take you 30 minutes, which won't get you much. But okay, so here's why you might smoke the Atrium leaf. But it doesn't. So take the quick search. It's not going to give you much information other than that the Atrium leaf can allow whoever smokes it to pass through solid objects for about a minute, and it's good for one use. So whoever smokes the Atrium leaf could then pass through the walls into the interior and presumably then open the door or open something else to get other people in. If you take a long search, which is cool, but is going to take you an hour. So again, right, we've got that ticking clock. So half hour to do the one, hour to do this one. You're going to reveal illusionary bars on the second story window. And then there's also a courier bringing the guards an order of leafy greens to eat. So two things. If you got a good second story man in your crew, you realize the window on the second floor, you can get in there. Bars are not real, but maybe you could also knock out that courier and pose as them that's bringing guards some greens. They like their greens. And that's another way in. So very cool. I like those two options. And of course, the party could do other things, but if they ask, can we search? You can quickly say, because they've given it to you here, and that's an obvious thing to do, right? You're there. What can we see around there? Oh, how much time do you want to spend? You want to be fast? You want to be slow? And here's what fast means in terms of time. Here's what slow means in terms of time. And then you have what you're going to get out of either option. And then we have another area, the Pleasure Dome. Steam rises from bubbling heated pools of crimson copper-smelling liquid. Between the pools, ornately carved columns support a domed ceiling. Gold-leafed tile mosaics stretch across the floors and walls. The sound of idle chatter can be heard from pools obscured by fog and stonework. So this is another area. And again, if we remember, when we were going through the tables creating a pangendrum, this was one of the areas. I can't remember if it was A, B, or C area. Well, not the A area, but it might have been B or C. And again, we have those same things. So a quick search will give you something, but it's going to take a half hour. Long search is an hour. And I like those because even I use the kind of old school way of looking at how many kind of 10-foot by 10-foot areas I have and figuring out how much you can search based on that. But these, we're playing it fast and loose a little bit with the sizes, right? We're not concerned about square movements necessarily, but the maps and everything are not scaled out for that. So one way to just kind of to be able to look at that, and again, searching is going to be something that I feel like parties are going to want to do. It's just giving us those numbers ahead of time, and since time is so important, being able to telling us who are running it, and that we can communicate to the players that how long each of these things is going to take. So again, quick search, take you 30 minutes. You'll find a secret door that's been left slightly open, which is why it's easier to find, and it's going to lead to the Atrium leaf growing rooms. Let's see, only a slight chance of discovering an alarm by those in the chamber. So if you get in those rooms, chances are you're okay. We don't know what a slight chance is, but I'm sure that's where you would use your system to figure out, 1 in 6, 1 in 10, whatever. If you take a long search, it's not going to reveal anything else, but you will end up giving time, in a sense, for Samir to show up. Let's see. There is a significant chance of discovering an alarm by those in the chambers. So basically, if you stay there a long time, you're not going to find anything more, but there's a chance people show up, including Samira, who I think you will have been told wants out. So that's somebody you could make contact with, but hanging around in there longer does mean there's more of a chance that you'll get caught. Or I guess at least discovered. And we have some bit about Samir, the head of Kalyani's ghostly staff. He is haughty and unpleasant, but will be happy to help the party if they promise to return his femur bone to him. The bone is what keeps him bound to the Pangendrum service as long as it is in their possession. It is being kept in an enchanted chest in the boardroom. Assuming he helps the party, he can try to use his influence to call off guards, but will go into hiding or feign capture if it looks like they are not believed. Nothing matters more than his freedom. If the party is in the boardroom, he will demand they obtain the femur first. If they refuse, he will turn on them. All right, so he's got a little edge to him. Now we have Octavius, is a highly intelligent human-sized octopus who uses an enchanted walking bathtub as his mode of transportation on land. He is part of a cabal of cephalopod diviners who serve the Pangendrum as her entourage. The group of casters' ability to see the future lets them predict the potency of different markets. Octavius specifically has seen visions of disaster this evening and hopes to take advantage of it to supplant his host. Oh, sneaky. As such, he is set to meet with a guild member of the Drunken Mstovaris at 9 p.m. in the wings. Unfortunately, his guild contact is being discovered and killed by the three-eyed Rudderkin when the party arrives. Oh, tough break for Octavius. He's willing to help the adventurers to help himself, but he's too cowardly to act in a particularly bold manner. All right, so we get another NPC with mixed motivations. Now we see the wings. In this case, a quick search will only take 10 minutes. A long search, only 30 minutes. This is clearly a smaller area. The magical lamps meant to create mock sunlight illuminate tables containing rows of neat flower beds. The flowers are a deep purple, orchid-like, and give off the scent of ozone. At the far end of the room is a spiral stair going upwards. So we got the wings. Quick search will reveal enough Ethereum leaf for 1 dose of each of the party members. That's awfully nice. Long search reveals the secret door to the downstairs and the dead guild thief inside. 2 insectoid guards will arrive in the room during this time. All right, so I kind of like that the long search isn't just giving you more stuff, but it's actually putting you in more peril. So there's it's not just the ticking clock that's at stake, but it's also the fact that the longer you're hanging around there, the more chance someone's going to come in and see you. So we have some nice info. And here, finally, we get to meet Atma, the three-eyed Rudderkin. Lower ranking but highly motivated operative. She wears a cowled hood over her shaved head and third eye tattoo. She's a skilled assassin and illusionist who casts through hand gestures only, as all of her guild have their tongues removed. She discovered and killed Octavius's contact. She will act with hostility to anyone she encounters, but is no match for the guards. All right, so she's good, but not that good. Let me just get some more description. There's looks like there's something called the Sword of Ages in here. Oh, this is the Horde. Okay, so they have two. Oh, I see. Okay, so the room. I see. I was wondering why they had this kind of two-tone gray background and white background. That's because there are two separate areas here. So the Horde, the walls of this vaulting chamber are decorated with panes of glass in a multitude of different frames. Each seems to be a porthole into a different place. They look into locations in the villa, the city, and even other planes. Occupants can be seen going about their lives through these windows. Some come forward to inspect themselves in the frame, leading you to assume these are some sort of magical one-way mirrors. Laying on the floor at about the center of the room is an ornate sword next to a pile of dust. So the quick search, 10 minutes. Let's see, reveals one mirror that reflects the room, but not exactly as it is seen by the players. It is in the reflection they see a beautiful glass display case in the middle of the room. Anything inside the case is rendered invisible unless viewed through the mirror. A long search reveals a draft coming in from a tall mirror in the corner of the chamber that shows a dimly lit hallway that is actually just a door frame with a sliding pane of glass over it. The players will also likely find mirrors showing other parts of the villa, showing them any places that may be helpful or interesting. Okay, so this one, if you do long search here, it seems like you're getting a good deal. Because it doesn't seem like there's anything saying that there's a higher chance of anyone discover anything bad happening. The Sword of Ages is a powerful magical weapon that fell into Kalyani's possession years ago. It was hidden in its glass case until a Rudderkin discovered it and died trying to use its magic. The sword grants its wielder the ability to stop time for everybody other than themselves. However, while time is stopped this way, they age rapidly. Seconds can mean years when using the sword's power. And we actually saw this when we looked through their one of the earlier tables. I think it was making the where you could create wares in the marketplace. But it's good. It's got a good name, the Sword of Ages. I like it. It'll play on words. It's obviously a very powerful artifact, meaning it's one for the ages, but of course it also ages anyone who uses it. The Atrium, as you emerge from the stairwell into an elaborate indoor garden. An almost imperceptible path twists off between trees, bushes, and other plants of every type. In the canopy, you hear the screech of several large animals native to the tangled greenhouse. So this is another area. This one's involved, right? So if your party gets here and they want to take even a quick search, it's an hour. And a long search is 2 hours. So you really had to have been busting tail to get over here. Because if it's 10 p.m. and you want to do a long search in this room, that's already at midnight. So I'd be curious to see what kind of playthroughs people are really just speed running into here and then spending a long time. And is it worth it? What is in here? So if you quick search it, you will either find the aftermath of a grisly battle between the Rudderkin, Pterodactyl, and guards, if this is after 11 p.m. Their broken bodies have not yet been cleaned up by the ghost staff, or the party encounters their squad of 3 highly trained operatives if before 11 p.m. So either you will find the Rudderkin in here, or you'll find the aftermath of a battle if you get here late. Let's see. If you do a long search, you reveal a member of the 13 vagabonds who broke in through a high window and fell through the canopy to their death. Aw, poor guy. This is enough time to successfully navigate through the forest, but makes a pterodactyl encounter all but certain. So we've got pterodactyls. Oh, and they're phasing pterodactyls. Not just your ordinary pterodactyl. Let's see, they're as big as a person and bred in captivity in the atrium. They're slightly out of sync with the material plane and can phase into the ethereal one for a few seconds at a time. So they're like blink dogs, but they're pterodactyls. The helm of all futures is a skull cap inscribed with runes. Upon putting it on, the wearer is slightly attuned to the future, allowing them to anticipate certain events. However, the helm is also slightly cursed. There is always a chance that the event anticipated is the opposite of what is expected. I see. The former owner was a thief from the 13 vagabonds who fell prey to a wrong prediction and fell to their death. And this is where we find the Demi-Lich Calabraxis, who's inside that jeweled gold skull. And they wait, unwilling to tap their powers before reaching the boardroom. If called upon by the players, they pretend at being a helpful sentient magic item that grants minor magical abilities. The plan is to get to the reliquary using as little of their power as possible, leaving them capable of taking the item and escaping. If not found, they may enter the boardroom at the final moment, weakened but still determined to gain the reliquary. All right, so they're playing possum, basically. Hoping to get a free ride to the boardroom. And here's the boardroom. Through the ornate doors of this comfortable waiting room stretches a vast chamber. Elegantly placed stones surround an indoor pool of slivery liquid serving as both a koi pond and audience chamber. Fish lazily swim under giant lily pads whose plant matter curves upward into the shape of chairs, couches, and tables. Octopus-like magicians debate the outcome of future divinations while they lounge about the chamber. At the far end of the pool, flanked by two hulking beetle-like guards, sits the Panjandrum on a flower-petal throne. She is decorated in golden finery and wears a worried expression as she runs her finger around the lip of a simple bowl. On the arm of her throne sits a golden jewelry box you can only assume is the Dream Reliquary. All right, so this is it, the inner sanctum, the Sanctum Sanctorum. So Kalyani's throne gives a good view of the room and is guarded by two insectoid warriors. We just got the description. The liquid is just colored water and only about 5 feet deep, but it makes moving quickly and quietly difficult. So stay out of the water if you can, just for speed purposes. The ornate chest is locked and contains Samir's femur, along with any other magic items Kalyani wouldn't have on hand. So that's separate from the box that's got the Dream Reliquary. That's just where the femur bone is. Floating tables and chairs are occupied by Kalyani's entourage. These cephalopod diviners abhor violence and will hide beneath the water and any hint of danger. So they're not going to interfere. They're going to go down, and you could have some fun with if they were to, I don't know, squirt. If they have ink squirting powers, they could squirt ink into the water. So I don't know how you would have time to get in here and do any searching, but if you did, I suppose if you make good time and just get everybody pacified. A 10-minute search reveals the chest with the femur. Note the room is well lit, heavily occupied. It has a few places to hide. Yeah, got that. If you spend a half hour, you'll find a secret door to the escape stairwell. Note that searching for this long makes it extremely likely to be found. Also correct. Yes, Durafin Neferud, which I guess is Durafin backwards. Did I catch your hello, Adam, I'm Madam, I'm Adam? It is another read-along. You're only catching the tail end, I think, but welcome. What do we got here? Secret doors, we got all that stuff. Okay, so here's the client. An inscrutable prismatic cloud that forces itself in generally humanoid shape below a simple monk's habit. This extraplanar entity will dramatically materialize itself into existence at the appropriate time. It might be backwards. Yep, I gathered that Durafin Neferud was like one of those forward backwards things, the name of which I can't remember. All right, so the client will come at the appropriate time. Rather than speaking, it shines in a particular pattern, and the subject instinctively knows what it is conveying. Palindrome, says Ovaltine Patrol. Yes, thank you very much. A palindrome. There is no force that can destroy the client, but it can be banished from the plane. If the reliquary is nowhere, it will leave. All right, so the client's going to come. You can't damage it. It just wants what it wants. It hasn't said what you get, though. Maybe it doesn't matter. But I think for some kind of epilogue, presuming this is not a one-shot, you would want to know what you're getting out of this. Maybe it's on another page. Let's see. Then Panjandrum Kalyani of the Silver Tongue is expecting danger at any moment. She is counting the seconds until her buyer arrives. In her worry, she is quick to temper and unlikely to trust. What Kalyani wants as payment, here we go, for the reliquary can be any outlandish thing you can think of as long as it furthers her power and greed. While Kalyani has no skill at combat, she uses magic items to defend herself from attack. Notably, she holds a bowl that allows her to summon water elementals from the pool. She may also wield a number of other magic items, such as a fan that creates powerful winds or a circlet of destructive magic. Okay. Kind of would have liked to to know a little bit more about what she's getting, what she wants. Maybe the client will ask what you want, which could be kind of scary to lay at the players and have them ask them what they want. But is this the end? Is this the end? It is the end. It is the legend. So there we go. This has been the Shifting City. Dank Dungeons. Where's the graphic? There we go. All right. As we listen to more music. Music's a little bit wonky. I know. Let me rephrase. The music is not wonky. I like the music a lot. It has a nice kind of ambient. Very much feels like this would be really good gaming music. If you like to use music in your games, I think it's really good music. I'm trying to play it through the Bandcamp. I'm trying to play it through the Bandcamp app fed into my mixer, which then feeds it into the computer to do all this. And I've noticed the Bandcamp app, I should have probably done it a little bit differently just because it's a little bit not the best experience, I would say, for streaming, but it is on Bandcamp. You can obviously download it. I had some adventures earlier where I was trying to figure out what the best way to surface the music is through the magic of having it meld with my audio. I apologize for earlier in the stream when the audio levels for the music was loud. It's kind of hard for me to tell on my speakers. So I have my speakers on so I could hear the music. It didn't seem loud to me, but obviously as the mix was being translated, loud to you. But I really dig the music. I really love this kind of album. So basically what this is, and if you're coming in late to the stream, I've already gone through, but essentially what you get with the album is 9 tracks of very cool music themed on this place that they call the Shifting City, which is a bazaar that's basically its own plane. I don't know what way to put it. It's its own space, and it shifts planes, so it shifts locations. This will probably mean nothing to very many people, or it'll mean something to very few people, but if you remember the movie Krull from the 80s, I love the movie Krull. The bad guy, the Beast, had this castle that would move locations every day, and this has a similar thing where the bazaar will move locations going anywhere, not just on a particular plane, but any kind of plane it will go. So you can have it go around, move around your whatever your multiverse is. It can really appear anywhere. And not only that, but internally buildings will move around. So there's this cool idea of you have to get tokens of places so that you can use the token to focus on what the place is, because you could leave the inn, you're looking out the street, turn around, the inn's gone. So now you gotta figure out how to get back to the inn. Well, maybe if you held on to a fork or a flagon from the ale or some other kind of thing from it, you could then sort of focus on it, and then that will kind of give you an idea where to go. Durfin Neferud says, Crawl, yeah, I need to watch it again. You do need to watch that again, Durfin. It is an awesome movie. The only thing I don't like about it is, do I want to say spoilers for a movie that's like 30 years old? I'll take this glass off for a minute. I just don't like the whole love conquers all at the end of it, but it's got a really cool stuff. It's kind of, it's a fantasy movie. It has some sci-fi elements to it, but it's mostly a fantasy movie. Yeah, it's very good. But anyway, back to the Shifting City. So you have this kind of interesting methods of navigation. Obviously, it can be a way of moving between planes, because you can walk in the city. It appears Shangri-La before you. You go in, you hang around. When you turn around, the entrance now, or the exit now, leads to somewhere completely different. They have essentially two different, two sides of the same coin, like they always say in all those goofy movies where the bad guy says to the good guy, "You're just like me, with two sides of the same coin." Well, here we sort of have that with the Panjandrum, who are these merchant nobility who kind of run and they make a point here of saying, look, both sides of this thing are bad. They just do things different ways. One tries to use law and bureaucracy, and that's the Panjandrum, to kind of go and maintain power. The other side being a shifting tapestry of thieves guilds who are obviously using outright crime and criminality to move their aims, but neither one is good. They're all bad. There are rules in here for finding what kind of rumors are going on, what stuff is for sale in the marketplace, because the marketplace is kind of the big thing here. It really dominates everything. It's commerce. It's all the stuff from all these different places in this multiverse that have all been gathered here and are trading hands. What you can do with that. So you can generate rumors, you can generate goods, you can generate panjandrums, you can generate thieves guilds, you can generate their villas, and at the end they have a nice cool little adventure where it's basically a heist adventure where you get to go in and infiltrate one of these panjandrums villas to potentially find an item and sell it for something. They don't tell us what, so it's kind of up to us as GMs if you play this adventure to come up with what they want. But it's a very cool package. So I'm not sure how much it goes for on Bandcamp. I will, as soon as I quit the stream, end the stream, I will go in and update the description stuff on YouTube with I think I have it. Hold on. Let me see. By the power of being able to multitask, I will see. Yeah, here it is. Oh, look at this. The wonders. Oh, it's my wandering mouse. That YouTube sometimes, man. Okay, I just posted into the chat. It's available at dankdungeons.bandcamp.com /album/Shifting City. I'm guessing they have other stuff in here. Let's see. We can. Okay. Thank you, Explorer, or excuse me, whatever they call Explorer nowadays. Let's see. Oh, that's just a picture of the thing. I was hoping to get a little bit more. Get some more info. Okay, maybe this is the only one he has. This might be the only one so far. So you go into Bandcamp, pick this up. It's telling me I already have it, so it's not telling me how much it costs. But there it is from Dank Dungeons. I'm really digging the music. I could pretty much listen to it off and on. I actually asked him for permission to just use it in some of my streams. Well, one, I wanted to make sure to have permission to use it for this, and then two, in the future, because it is a whole lot of fun. $8 says Ovaltine Patrol. I would say this is definitely worth $8. I mean, I would pay $8 just for the little zine. It's and then you get a whole album on top of it. So it seems like a good deal to me. I really dig it. I don't think there's anything here that I don't like, and everything is totally system agnostic. So you're not getting a ton of crunch. You're getting lots of tables. Not a lot of crunch. You're not going to find a lot of stat blocks. It wasn't put in an OSR style or 5th edition style, anything like that. So when he said system agnostic, it's completely mechanics free. So you will have to go in and add in whatever things you need to kind of make these things work in your system, whatever system you're going to play it in. But yeah, no, this is really cool. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Lex from Dank Dungeons, for sending it my way and allowing me to showcase it here and give it a read. As usual, I'm going to head out, so I got some other things to do before I get interrupted by the fam returning and all that jazz. But if you like this, give the thumbs up. If you enjoy these streams, these videos, please, subscribe. There's that thing. What does it look like? A little bell or something if you want to be alerted. But have a great rest of your Sunday, your weekend, and or whenever else you happen to hear this or listen to this. I put the link in the chat. I will also put it in the show notes when I get a description up. Ovaltine Patrol says, thanks, have a good day. You too, sir. Game on, and I will talk to you later.